Hey, guys, what's up? It's your boy here, Ken. I just want to get my final thoughts as we go to WrestleMania. This isn't a WrestleMania prediction. I'm going to do a WrestleMania prediction video probably Friday for nights 1 and 2, or I'll do a prediction for night 1 on Friday, and then night 2 prediction I'll probably do Saturday. But either way, prediction video for WrestleMania this Friday, and then I'm going to do a review of NXT Takeover Night 1. I'm going to do a review of that tomorrow because I'm going to watch that live, and then I'm going to do a review for Night 2 Thursday night. But for the purpose of this video in particular, I just want to just briefly just talk about Raw. I rarely talk about like Raw. I used to do weekly Raw reviews. The last couple weeks I've been doing some, obviously, because Raw I feel like had some significance. The whole Bobby Lashley push and the unfortunate breakup of Hurt Business. Raw last night was absolute trash. Like, for this to be the last Raw before WrestleMania, the go home show on Raw and on Raw's end to go into WrestleMania, was absolutely terrible. From Bad Bunny, having like a 5 to 10 minute promo on the mic. I respect that he loves, wrestling and he's a fan, but who thought it was a good idea and creative thought it was a good idea to give him a mic for 10 minutes and cut a promo? Like, they could have let him say like one or two couple things, just a few bullet points, no longer than 2 minutes, and you could have just let Damian Priest do the rest of the talking and like change the outcome of the matchup from the one-on-one to it now being a tag team match, with them taking on Miz and John Morrison. Not interested. Then you have the ridiculous whatever they're doing with Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. Ridiculous. When Raw opened up, Drew McIntyre opened it up talking about like how he's gonna run through Lashley and take the title from him, and then Lashley comes out, speaks his piece, and then this was something that Lashley said in this promo at the beginning of Raw, and I thought about that, and I'm just like, this just shows you how stupid WWE are. So Drew McIntyre says to Lashley, like, you try to hire some henchmen to take me out before WrestleMania, but that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna, run my boot right between your eyes, and I'm gonna take back my WWE Championship. Then you had Lashley rebuttal back and say, I don't need anyone to take you out before WrestleMania. I can destroy you myself. Did I not just say in my Bad for Business, WWE breaks up the Hurt Business video that I did like a week ago? I mentioned in that same self video, you have a guy like Lashley, who's not being booked like a chicken shit heel, by no means, thank God, but he's booked like a monster, an unbeatable beast. He was running roughshod through pretty much almost anybody over the last several months. He ran through the Miz like, a hot knife on a stick of butter. So like, he did all these things. Why does it make sense for him to want to put out a hit on McIntyre? Doesn't make sense. If you big and bad, like you have been, like you've been perceived for weeks, why do you need to hire a hit squad to take out McIntyre? Now, maybe your own group, respectively, you might want to use them to soften them up, but why do you need anybody else outside of your circle to soften Drew up or destroy McIntyre? I said the exact same thing I'm saying now. I said in that video last week. Why the hell would you have Bobby Lashley cut a goddamn promo at the top of Raw saying to McIntyre, I don't need anyone to take you out. I don't need anyone to take you out. then why the hell did you put a hit out on McIntyre for the last like 2 or 3 weeks? Then again, the it made no sense. That promo right there just showed you that what they've been having Lashley do the past couple of weeks made absolutely no sense. They came to that realization just by having him making that statement in the promo last night. I'll just say this. I don't know if I'll do a same video format like this coming from the SmackDown end, but I will say in terms of Raw, um, terrible bill going into WrestleMania. A lot of people have been saying this does not feel like WrestleMania season. A lot of people have been feeling like this is the worst build ever to WrestleMania. I don't know if it's the worst build to WrestleMania ever, because that would mean I would have to really go back and think back to the last like 36 WrestleManias and kind of think, at least the ones in my lifetime, since I was a kid growing up, going back and looking at the build and saying like what was good and what not. But I will definitely say this was definitely one of the weakest builds in recent memory of WrestleMania I have ever seen, and this is going across like all brands. NXT's takeover been a little bit different. I will say the build for NXT takeover and the match card itself alone for NXT takeover nights 1 and 2, in my opinion personally, trumps WrestleMania. Um, it 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 sucks. Like it really really sucks. I'm hoping WrestleMania delivers despite my low expectations going into it because of the lack of interest in terms of the build. Um, because last time I can think about this was, I say it was like WrestleMania 31. WrestleMania 31 is still, I probably put up there as like my one of the really good WrestleManias in the last like couple years, or within the last decade, from top to bottom. That was a solid pay per view. I can tell you from the top of my mind right now, the build of WrestleMania 31 was kind of sucky. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, they delivered in their main event, but the build of their match, to me, was trash. So I went in WrestleMania 31 with low expectations, kind of like I'm going into this one, because it just wasn't there. But Mania 31 delivered and ended up being, in my opinion, one of the best WrestleManias within the last 10 years, along with 30. So I'm kind of hoping for this. Difference is some of the matches on the cards outside of the two world title pictures on both brands and outside of the SmackDown Women's title, and maybe even Bray Wyatt and Orton to some degree. Those are only 4 matches I really care about or have interest in. The other matches leading into this pay-per-view, to me, I feel like are filler. I feel like matches you could have on a C-level graded pay-per-view, or you just have on a random like main event of Raw or SmackDown, and they just threw on there. That's honestly how I feel about it. I know BR Sports Live had put out an article and was saying how like this is the first WrestleMania where there's like no big stars of like yesteryear. And I thought about that. I'm like, you know what? They're kind of right. Outside of Edge, there's no Goldberg this WrestleMania. There's no Brock Lesnar this WrestleMania. There's no John Cena. There's no Undertaker. The last like 4 or 5 WrestleManias that have been built around those 4 guys in particular, not here. Not at this year's WrestleMania. Outside of Edge, he's like the only one. I necessarily don't see that's a bad thing. I know some people. Well, obviously Booker T. I know Booker T had made a statement before years ago when Brock Lesnar was headlining like back-to-back main events at Mania. I know Booker T in his podcast was like, people were complaining about that, and he's like, Brock Lesnar's a draw, and he headlines all these main event matches because he's a draw and he's paid his dues and he's been there and done that. And my rebuttal to Booker T, I remember I made a comment on his podcast about it, was that's true. Guys like Lesnar and Goldberg and Undertaker and Cena, they're all draws. Absolutely, they're crossover stars, mega stars, but they had to start off at some point. Like, Brock Lesnar would not have been main eventing the last 3 or 4 WrestleManias if Brock Lesnar didn't get his shot at main eventing his first WrestleMania at Mania 19. So you gotta have to start somewhere to get these guys to that next level and perceive them in that as next generation of stars, and then in the next 5 to 8 years, at that point with proper booking and investment, they will be perceived to be that next level star up there with a Cena or Brock Lesnar. So you won't have to even think twice about this person, main eventing a WrestleMania because they've walked that path, but you've given them that chance and an opportunity. Kind of like what they're doing with McIntyre. Perfect example. Drew McIntyre got his big break last year, won the Royal Rumble, beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the title, has had a dominant run throughout the year. One of two of the only bright spots, the other being, about to say New Day, Hurt Business, keeping Raw interesting, I should say, but carrying Raw in his back during the pandemic era, which we're still in, but it was at its peak last year, and still going into this year in WrestleMania. Now you have Lashley. I think they could have done a lot better in terms of just talking about just on the Raw side of things going into this pay-per-view. I think WWE could have done a lot better with McIntyre or Lashley. These are two guys, two big-sized dudes who they both have aggression. They're both believable, in my opinion. I know some people have their thoughts of McIntyre, but to me, they're both believable. These are guys that are also, they're fresh faces. Going back to what I was saying about the statement of Booker T and the WrestleMania spots for veterans and whatnot. These are two fresh faces in the main event scene of WrestleMania. Yes, McIntyre had his moment last year, but McIntyre is still new. He's still new on that main event scene. Lashley is just coming up into the main event scene. So I think the match will deliver. McIntyre, Lashley, I think they have good chemistry in the ring. They've had good matches together when they were in TNA. Last year, because they fought before last year, Lashley was McIntyre's, I think, first opponent coming out of WrestleMania, or it was either Rollins, but they faced each other at Backlash. They had a good match. Reason why no one really cared for it, because Lashley was stuck in that stupid cuckold storyline with Lana for a good half of 2020. So, but other than that, the match within itself, it was a good wrestling match. So I have no doubt that they're gonna have a good wrestling match coming WrestleMania. It's just the build for this match in particular. I think WWE could have done a lot better, and they really haven't. They really haven't. They've done some off the wall kind of things. Kind of taken. Lashley doesn't really feel as like a dominant champion as he should be, a confident dominant champion as he should be. I don't know. Either way, I'll say this for my prediction later this week for WrestleMania, because I was going to give it, but anyway. You guys let me know what you guys thought about Raw last night. Are you excited about WrestleMania, like, at all, period, this year? I want to hear your thoughts in the box below. Do yourself a favor, hit that like button, and subscribe. Peace out.